Hello, welcome back. Today, we are talking about something so many women in midlife are wrestling with, and that's visibility. Not just being seen online, but being heard, being valued, letting our voices carry the stories and wisdom we've earned.
Our guest today is someone who has built an entire career around helping people step onto stages, into conversations, and into their own power. Kimberly Crowe is an international inspirational speaker who has spoken on more than 5,000 stages, including TEDx Las Vegas. She is the creator of Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel and the co-host of Speakers Playhouse and the producer of Podapalooza, where she connects podcasters and guests for instant visibility.
She's known for her motto, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And her work focuses on helping speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs get out of hiding and build businesses that are visible, profitable, and actually enjoyable to run.
Kimberly, welcome. We are so glad you are here. I'm so excited about this conversation.
Lisa and Kari, super glad to be here. I've been trying to get on for a while, so I'm delighted to be able to connect with you ladies today.
Yay.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. All right, so we always start with asking how it feels to hear about yourself and your accomplishments as we introduced you.
Actually, that's a fascinating question because it is something that you hear other people say it, and it lends more power and credibility than if you're trying to talk about it yourself or trying to be modest about your accomplishments or whatever. So when other people are reading it out loud, you're like, yeah, that is true, and that is something that could be admirable for folks. So I loved it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So you've spoken on more than 5,000 stages. That is such an incredible number. I'd love to go back to the beginning. What was your relationship to speaking and being visible earlier in your life?
Oh, that's such a great question. So many people, it's such a nerve-wracking thing to get on stages and grab a mic and be vulnerable and up there and get judged on stages, and it's so uncomfortable for so many people. But if you ask my family, they'll tell you that I came out of the womb sharing my opinion, and I never stopped. I've never really been shy for the spotlight. As a matter of fact, I was just sharing this with a friend. One of my first paid speaking gigs was when I was 7 years old, and my brother and I sold tickets to a magic show in our backyard for 10 cents a piece, and we were rich. It was
Oh, I love it.
amazing.
Oh my gosh. So if this has always been you, was there ever like a moment where you just stepped into like, okay, my voice matters. I have something to share, or again, were you just born this way?
Well, I think it's just a level of comfort from actually doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And really that goes for any woman who's been in this world, who's done the same thing over a period of time. I think of the Tupperware salespeople or the Mary Kay ladies, and the ones who are really successful are the ones who kept doing it. Right?
Yeah.
The ones who just stuck with it and kept doing it. And the ones who weren't successful, oftentimes they were like doing it two or three times and they're like, this isn't for me, I'm out. Right. And so some of it is I think I just kept doing it, and it just got easier and easier for me. And I was very comfortable with it. I did spend some time in corporate where I was, just working in a corporate gig. But a lot of it was meeting customers and talking with them and building reputation and relationships and being able to grow sales from there, and not being afraid of that sales piece. I think was huge for me. But that's not something that everybody has. And it's very natural to be nervous to get on stage. And probably the most, I thought you were going to ask a different question about like, when was I ever terrified? And in fact, that I have. There was one in particular that really threw me off my game. I am a facilitator. I'm a presenter. I love interacting with the audience and playing with them. Live stuff is great for me. And I really enjoy that. When I did my TEDx, holy cow, was I intimidated. I mean,
Why?
it was because it's a rehearsed 17 to 20-minute talk that you
Okay.
have to deliver word for word. And when
Wow.
you've done 5,000 stages and every one of them is new and different and playing with the audience and answering questions and being a little bit different and spontaneous and telling stories. And, I can teach for 3 days straight, but it will never be the same words
Right.
that I've used before. Exactly. So a 17-minute scripted, rehearsed, memorized talk that was actually choreographed was very, very difficult for me. It reminded me of the days where I was an actress on stage, but even then it lends to interpretation. And for
Sure.
TEDx, it really felt like it didn't.
So they
Later
don't even have
on,
monitors. Like you had to memorize the whole
no,
thing?
you memorize it. Some TEDx, don't get me wrong, some
Okay.
TEDx stages do actually have what they call confidence monitors,
Yeah, yeah.
which will run it. But you can watch the person reading it, and it looks like they're saying it
Yes.
like this.
Yeah.
And it's very fascinating to watch the people who are dynamic on stage and the ones who aren't. So yeah, it can be very very uncomfortable. I once heard Brendan Burchard talk about TEDx, and somebody asked, why haven't you done a TEDx yet? And he said, I will never do a TEDx. They are single-handedly ruining the First Amendment. They are making you stand in a spot and rehearse and say only what they agreed to let you say. And they'll kick it out if you don't say the exact words that they told you were okay. And I was like, wow, that's a fascinating look at it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I 100% agree, but I
Right.
definitely felt that pressure.
Interesting. Hmm.
Wow.
Noted.
I have a good friend who was involved in TEDx, Kevin, as you know, Lisa. And
Hmm.
I remember that like they assign you coaches to help you with that, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They do assign you a coach. They review your text. So you write out your talk, which it's very rare for me to write out a talk, just extremely rare. Everything I do is fairly extemporaneous. And of course, I'll teach on something that I've taught before and say pretty much the same thing, but it's usually in flow.
Yeah.
So
Right.
having to write out what I was going to say in advance was not my style. It was very
Interesting.
uncomfortable for me.
I
Hmm.
do. I mean, I've always been a sucker for those. They're great. Like, because
They're
they're nice
good.
and
Yeah.
they're bite sized, and
Yeah.
especially when they're done well. Okay, so question I have, because a lot of our listeners are in big life transitions, and they sometimes feel
Mm.
like they've been living quietly or behind the scenes for years, or they've like had big ideas but just kind of haven't. They've been busy, right? Doing other things with work or families. So, what do you see as the most common reason the women you've worked with hold back from speaking or stepping onto stages?
Wow, there's a multi-level answer to that one. So first off, welcome to the world. I think we're all in after 40, maybe 50, we start getting into what I refer to as chapter two. Like, all right, we did that thing. Now, what's this next thing that we're gonna do? And
Yeah.
it's probably chapter 3 or 4, right? Because we had schooling and then we got into a career and then now we're like, okay, I've done that. Like, what's next? What am I now? And none of us are the same person we were 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. It's not possible for us to be because we've developed and added so much to our lives. So I think when you're in chapter two, you're like, whoa, where do I start? What am I about now? So I think that's a little intimidating because we're still trying to figure us out, let alone put on a face like we have it all together for the world, right?
Yeah.
And that can be difficult. And then getting on stage and getting judged for that, where people are like, oh, I don't, is she all that in a bag of chips? I don't know, right? It can be very uncomfortable to do that. And then another layer of that is that, not to try to be too super sexist on here because it can happen to men as well, but a lot of us women, myself included, were asked to quiet down or sit down and be quiet, and mine was lower your voice, Kimberly. That's what I heard a lot. And what I interpreted that as, it's not what they said, but what I interpreted that as is, we don't want to hear from you.
Hmm.
And really, I just had a very loud outdoor voice, right? And I tease and I say I was not born with an indoor voice. I only have an outdoor voice, right? But of course, I do have an indoor voice as well. But when I was young, I was really big and loud, and it was great for being on stage. But in front of other people, sometimes it was annoying, right? So I would hear, lower your voice, sit down, be quiet. And I think
Mm.
many women sometimes do as young women. And now I'm all about helping women and youth women raising their voice and sharing their message with the world and being able to stand up on a microphone and be vulnerable and safe at the same time.
Mm.
Brene Brown has a great saying that she says, when people stand on the stage, if you go up on the stand on the stage and you feel vulnerable, you think that you're being weak, or you'll be perceived as weak. But when people stand up on a TEDx stage or any stage and they're vulnerable, they're seen as powerful and courageous, which is completely the opposite of what we think while we're on the stage. So I'm all about creating very safe, supportive, loving, warm environments for people to step up and shine, men and women.
Yeah, I love that. That's why we wanted to have you on, because that is so in alignment with what we want for women as well. So one of the topics you mentioned was shifting your narrative, which again feels
Mm.
so aligned with what we talk about every week here. So what does that phrase, shifting your narrative, mean to you?
Oh, great question. So I actually teach a whole session on this, and it's very interactive with the audience, but we talk about the narratives that we have running in the background, that sort of elevator music that we have
Mm,
back there. And it usually starts with, I'm a this or I'm not a that, right? So
yeah.
I'm not a hiker, I'm not an athlete. I'm a speaker, but I'm not an entrepreneur, or whatever it is, right? Like it's those tapes that we have running back there. And some of those are really powerful for us. Some of those are like, I'm really good at helping people, or I'm really good on stage, or I'm really good at creating new things, or I'm a very good artist. All of those things can be narratives that are running in the back of our mind, and they're good. And we need to hang on to those. So that's great. But there are some narratives in there that aren't great, right? I'm not good with money. I was never a good athlete. I'm a second child, so I have second child syndrome. All those stories that we have running in the back of our minds. What are they? What are they doing in our life, and are they helping us, or are they holding us back? And most people, coaches, sorry, many coaches, I won't say most, but many coaches will tell you, oh, just, do a 180 on that and say, I'm great at money. I'm a millionaire. And you're looking at your bank account and you're like, not though, right? Affirmations do the same thing. Like I'm healthy as a horse. I have, whatever your story is that you want to tell yourself that you don't really believe. So I came to the belief that doing a 180, your brain is going to protect yourself and
Mm,
call BS on that, right? It's going to be like, you're not really. And when your brain does that, you go back to that same narrative. So
mm,
when affirmations work, they work, but when they don't, this is the trigger.
Mm.
So instead of doing a 180 and saying, I'm a millionaire, you just need to tell different stories that are, here's the key, also true.
mm,
All right. So your different story about being a millionaire, and maybe you're struggling right now financially, you can say to yourself, I'm getting better and better at learning money management, because that is also true, right?
yeah.
So that's
Right.
something that your brain can believe, right? So it could be, I have second child syndrome, so nobody pays attention to me and I have to call attention to myself. That might be mine. Right? So that's why I have a big voice, right? But another story that serves well is, I am second child. And so by the time I came around, my parents were already broken in and I had benefit from that. Right.
Mm,
So that is also true, but it's not that hold back. I have to have everybody pay attention to me kind of thing. So
right.
rather than trying to find the 180 and just say, it's not true, this is true, our brains will take it better if we can find something that's more positive and reinforcing, but it's not that 180. So that's what
Mm.
shifting your narrative is about,
Yeah, I
telling
love
a
that.
better story.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
it's not toxic positivity. I love the
Right.
idea that
Oh, I
it's
love
both
that
things
phrase.
are true, because you're right.
Yeah.
I always wonder about those affirmations, like I am the richest person in the world, and I'm like, but am I? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's
Exactly.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Or if you're not an athlete, you could say, like, oh, I've never been an athlete. And then you're just reinforcing that over and over. But if you
Totally.
say, I choose activities that feed my body in a really positive way, but also are a good balance for me. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right. Well, you're not saying you're not an athlete anymore. It's just a little bit more toward where you want to go.
Yeah.
I've
Love
always
it.
said, like, if the a version I do of this, I've done, with clients and my kids, is like, because we believe our words, what if you say in the past, even if it was 10 minutes ago, in the
Oh, you're
past,
so right. I have a girlfriend who
I
says
was,
when she loses her keys, she's like, I used to lose my keys all the time, but I
yes.
don't anymore. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
In the
okay.
past, I did this, like if you could speak about it in the past tense, then you can kind of work past it. So it sounds like you're really good at that. So maybe you don't have a lot of examples of this, but I was curious, like, what are some, like, for the people who are really resistant to that, what are some of the stories you tend to see people who come there, men and women, telling themselves that keep them small and hidden?
Yeah. A lot of them came from, believe it or not, not even parents, but teachers early on. So I
Mm.
had one person say, I always thought I was a good kid. And then I was in this one class and the teacher just like nailed me as the bad kid, the talker, the one that disturbed everybody. And I got put in that group. And all of a sudden I was with those kids. And so, like, I guess I'm just not all that. And it's sort of like, if you tell yourself, that's interesting, that was her story about you, not your story about you. What's your story about you? You already said it once. You were the good kid. You've been the good kid. You have been the one that wasn't disruptive at all. So we're going to let her keep that story and narrative, and we're going to take back our own narrative.
Mm.
So I think that's one way to sort of realize that stuff you've been fed from other people that's not serving you can go back to them, and they can keep it if they want, but it's not for you anymore.
So when they do that, what do you notice first? Like, is it confidence? Is it action, opportunities? Like when they make that little, because it's what I love about what you're saying is sometimes 180 feels too hard in
It's too
anything that we
hard.
want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you're literally just, I pictured this like little wheel and you're just being like, let's move to like a quarter notch
Exactly.
over here, right? And
Exactly.
so most people think things have to be huge to make a difference. But when they just do that little tweak, what do you notice first?
Relief.
Oh.
It's just a relief. They're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I can let that go. Right. And I think
That's
when I
awesome.
do this work with people and I'll pull something out, and there's stories all over the place about how you are in business, how you are as a friend, how you are as trustworthy or not, whether how you are for your weight management. There's all kinds of stories that we have cooking in our back brains. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not serving us. And so when you can pull out the ones that are not serving and just sort of work with the person to just shift it slightly, and
Hmm.
then that relief that comes over their mind, they're like, oh, I don't have to be a 180. I don't have to be perfect. I can be just a little bit more this than that.
Love
I think
that.
it's very empowering and a giant relief. It's sort of like, I'd love to lose 30 pounds, but, today I'm going to work on losing one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
or,
and I
or
think we
releasing
underestimate,
one.
I think we underestimate how great relief feels. Because the minute you
Mm,
said relief, I literally just was like melted.
I
yeah.
know. Relief.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have like your own, journey that you share with your students, like where you had to shift your own narrative about what was possible for you?
Oh, sure. Mine's the big one for me was that I share is second child syndrome, right? That part of the reason that I've a really that I've got told, to sit down and be quiet a lot is because I had this big voice. But that was because I was second child syndrome and I had to be loud so people would see me. And now that I look at it, like I have 65,000 followers and lots of people see me, and I don't have to be loud. I can have that option, but I don't have to be loud to draw attention to myself. I can be magnetically I'm pulling people in that enjoy my personality. So that's a complete shift. Not that I have to be quiet, not that I have to be good, not that I have to be anything other than I don't have to scream and yell and shout to get attention, that it just naturally can come to me magnetically.
Mm, love that. So, as you know, our listeners are in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, and they're thinking about what they want this next chapter to look like. You mentioned that we have our best chapter yet retreats that we've just run one or it's about to run. I don't know when this is coming out exactly. Um,
Right.
and so that's what we spend our time. And a lot of these women have a message or a story that they want to share, but they don't know where to start. So what would you say to that woman? They know they've got something, but they don't know where to begin.
Yeah. Lisa, that's a great question. I'm actually going to refer back to something that Kari pulled out in the beginning. She said that women have a right to share what they've earned, right?
Yeah.
From the life that they've earned, and owning that and being like, this is this is me. I've had all of these experiences, and some of them are good and some of them are not. And, we all go through things. None of us are going to get out of here alive. Some of us have had an easier time than others, but we all have things that have given us insights into the world. And your message matters to somebody who is struggling with something that you've struggled with in the past. Your message is the hope that somebody else needs that they don't even see yet. And it may be easy for you because you've already gone through it. And now you're like, well, that was in my past. And it's like everybody probably solved that problem. But for me, watching women share a story that they've gone through and watching people type in the chat or their faces on the Zoom or their faces in the in-person or their hands getting raised, like, that's me. I didn't even know it was possible to get there from here. And having that knowledge that there are people out there who need your magic, that need to hear your story, and you're the only one who can share it. That sort of transforms the stage, like, oh, they're going to judge me, into I'm selfish not to share this story because
Right.
it's not about me anymore. It's about helping the people who need to hear it. And there will be people who criticize. There will be people who say, well, that doesn't fit me. That's fine. But you're not there for them. You're
Right.
there for the people who need you.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
something we talk about a lot, the focus on the we and not the me.
And
Oh, yeah.
also, I don't know if Lisa's had a chance to tell you this, maybe she has, but we both worked at a health coach institute where a lot of people, were doing that certification and graduate level certification to, become coaches, but also we were doing a lot of business coaching.
Yep.
And I'm sure, Lisa, you're probably thinking the same thing. I kept saying, like, we need females teaching them how to do this.
Right.
Like, this is so good. Like,
Yeah.
we had these really great guys, but they were like two men that came in and were like, you got to learn how to tell your story and you got to learn how to, get people there. And what I love about how you're saying it is you're saying it like such a coach who's recognizing that this is confronting what you're inviting people to do. And if someone's telling you they're not ready, and you're like, because we've been there so many times, your struggle is someone's greatest gift, and your ability to, help people identify with it also propels you forward, right? It like helps your growth. So like, I'm just curious if you've had people really shrink away from this and then come back later when they're ready because like you planted a seed, or like have you ever just kind of, I need a little more time with you one-on-one, or are you able to do that?
So that's a great question. And I have watched people, because I've been doing this, and specifically this, since 2017, and telling people, there are people out there now, a good friend of mine, Yvonne, who said, I wasn't ready to speak. And I was on one of Kimberly's information calls about a summit. And she said, get out there and speak. And then I raised my hand and said, I'm not ready yet, and she said, you are ready yet. You're past ready. We need your message. And then I signed up and I started speaking, and that changed everything. and
That's
and
awesome.
knowing that that happened to somebody that I just had said seriously, but offhand, you are ready. You're past ready. Like, I need your story. Everybody needs your story. We want to hear this. To be able to open that up for somebody was really powerful. And so she's a good friend of mine now, but that's her story. She wasn't. I don't even remember her as not ready to speak, but that's her story that she tells, and she's a delight. So
Ah,
I'm glad that people have come in their own time to do the things that they need to do to share with the world their message. Um, you introduced me beautifully, but one of the things that I identify as is an international inspirational public speaker.
mm.
And if you went to Google that right now, you would find a whole bunch of white guys and four other people, right? And it's not that the white guys are doing anything wrong. It's just that the rest of us need to step up to the mic And I am so passionate about creating that opportunity for people in a safe environment, because women are like, well, maybe not yet. I'm not sure. Let me get
Mm-hmm.
perfect first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying guys don't feel that way, but somehow it seems to me that the guys are ready to launch forward more than the girls are sometimes.
Yep.
And Brene Brown, also another quote from her is like, well, let me armor up and get perfect and make everything awesome, and then I'll get into the arena, right? But we'll never be there. We have to step out when we're imperfect. We're never going to be perfect. It's it's never going to be perfect. You shared that I have been on over 5,000 stages. My best talk ever is my next talk.
Ah,
Mm. I
that's
love
cool.
that.
I like what you just said too. I just said to somebody else who I'm working with who was like, I get so caught up like not wanting to get it wrong. Or no, what do you say? I would want it to be perfect. And I said, oh, perfect on the road to getting things right will just like takes you in the wrong direction. Perfect and right aren't the same thing. They just
True.
aren't.
That's really good. I love that. Perfect and right are not the same thing. It's true. I will always say done is better than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you start speaking and you get on, if your question, Lisa, before was awesome, like where do you start? My recommendation is podcasts, because you're just having a conversation with one or two other humans and and sharing your story. And of course, that information and content is going to go out later to tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, but that's not the intimidation factor when you're just having a conversation with one other person, right?
Yeah.
So it can be fine. And if you are not embarrassed by your first 10 or so episodes, you waited too long to start. You got to start. And the more you speak, the more you understand what you want to speak about. I mean, this talk that we're doing now wasn't the talk I was giving in 2017, right? The more I spoke, the more I realized what my passions were, what I really cared about, and what differentiated me from other people out there that are, public speaker coaches. I'm not a public speaker coach. I don't consider myself that at all. I provide stages. That's what I do, and I'm good at it, and I've done it thousands of times, and put tens of thousands of people on stage. And doing that is a passion for me. I differentiate myself because I realize that's what I want to do and that's what I love doing. My motto is no joke. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I live by that. I haven't always, but I live by that now.
Well, that was the perfect transition because I was going to ask you about that. So, if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, you see that she has Speakers Playhouse behind her. I joined one Speakers Playhouse and I was blown away. I knew this was your motto, but I have never in my life been in such a high energy across the board. Every single person was clearly so happy to be here. Unfortunately, it bumps up against the pod, so I don't get to visit as often as I'd like. But I did. I got off that like on cloud nine. So again, your motto is if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And look, that is refreshing in a world where business advice often feels intense or exhausting. For Kari and I, it is very much about having fun. We've both been business coaches. I still business coach, and I like to think that it's fun to work with me.
Yeah.
So how did fun become such a central part of your philosophy?
Oh, because it wasn't.
Okay, say more.
Well, I did probably what lots of your attendees or your listeners did, which is I did the right thing. I went to school, I went to college, I got a degree, I went out and got myself a good job with health insurance, and I climbed the corporate ladder, and I worked at a company for 17 years. 15 of them were really good. They really were. I really enjoyed it. And the last two, not so much. And I was in what they call golden handcuffs.
Mm,
So I was making so much money that it didn't make sense to shift or stop or restart or start climbing again. But I realized I was not even on a ladder I wanted to be on, right?
mm,
I looked at everybody in the corporation. I was an executive director, so kind of at the top of the corporation. I was looking at everybody at my level and above, and they were all bitter and angry and on their third marriage and overweight and frustrated and mean to their employees, and I thought I don't want to be any of this.
yeah.
But it took a while. It took 2 years. And my husband at the time was also not super supportive of me leaving a job that was paying extremely well. And I was like, but I'm not happy. And I remember being at work and it was 10 plus at night, 10:30 at night. My kids were already at bed. I was looking at reports and, going through numbers. And I remember just breaking down like, God, get me out of this. Like, how do I get out? What's the ripcord? What's the exit plan? And I was really, really unhappy. And I think that was the beginning of the change where it
Mm,
was like, okay, well, that's not what life is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be climb until you grind. It's not
mm.
supposed to be climb until you're unhappy and then stop there.
Mm,
It's
I
it's
like that.
about it's about happiness. One of the two of you said it earlier, and it really is about finding your own joy. And we all find joy in different places, right? I found joy in that company for many years, and then I didn't. And it was time for me to change where somebody else could find joy in that role. And I'm sure they
Right.
did, right? And then there are people who would never want to be on stage ever in their lifetime. My daughter is one of them. She's like, no, mom, you take the spotlight. I'll be behind the scenes, right? So there are people who love different things, and that's the beauty of the different people in this world is we all have different things that we love to do. And on a very pedantic way, a weird thing about me, I love emptying the dishwasher. Like I love it. I love emptying a dishwasher. And if I'm in a room, people are like, "Oh, I hate doing that. Like that's the worst job ever." And I'm like, "No way! The dishes are clean. They're all tidy. We put them away. It's so nice." And it's just a weird thing about me, right? So we all have different things that give us
yeah.
joy. So we should do the things that give us joy, and we should
Mm.
stay in that as long as possible. And the other things, give them to people who love that instead.
Mm.
Amen.
That reminded me of me and cooking. Most people I know don't like cooking, but I love it.
Yeah, right. We
Um,
all have different strengths.
mm, okay, I want to shift a little bit for because a lot of people who listen also, are entrepreneurs or are kind of
Mm,
leading things or starting things on their own. And I love about how you talk about workshops as the new sales funnel.
mm.
So when you use that phrase, is your goal to help people sell more, or is it about helping them feel confident sharing their message?
Oh, good question. So that particular one is really about people who are trying to find more clients, more sales, right?
Okay.
So we have been taught mostly by men, but that's all right. Somebody taught us to create funnels or to do Facebook ads or to do challenges. And I've done all those things, right? And I've done them all. And I'm not saying they don't work. I will say they don't work as well as they used to. Right.
Hmm.
So when I first did a challenge, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And I had 200 people sign up for the challenge. And I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire. This is awesome. And then by the end of the challenge, like we still had 110 people doing it. And then we did our 2 day event and like 70 people showed up for the 2 day event. And then from there, we made an offer. And like in the end, like 4 people bought the offer. And I was like, that was a lot of work to pull 4 sales, right? And I'm not saying it didn't work. It just didn't work as well as it was supposed to work, or people said it would work, I will say. Same thing with funnels, like, oh, you need a really good funnel and an upsell and a downsell and these things and those things. And it's got to be pretty and it's got to have 4 buttons and you have to have an urgency and you have to have limited availability and blah, all that stuff, right? And I'm not saying that doesn't work. It just doesn't work as well as it used to. And same thing with all of the things, right? But what has worked for me in the last 2 years very well has been creating workshops. And funny enough, at Speakers Playhouse, we give away a workshop from one of our joint venture partners that we co create with them. And I do my own workshops. So over the last 4 years, I've created more than 200 workshops.
Wow.
And those workshops convert like mad. And the reason that they're converting so well is because you're giving people a transformation, a
Mm.
true transformation, and you're building relationship with them and you're spending time with them. So a live workshop where they can interact, ask questions, and then get a transformation and actually accomplish something. builds their trust in you, because now they know that if they work with you, they will get results. They will get a transformation. They will get something done, and that you've been there with them the entire time. Now, there will be some people who just don't match your style. Awesome. They don't belong in your world right now. They might in the future, but not right now. There might be people who are like, it's not ready yet, and that's okay. But there will be people who love your style, got the transformation, have built their trust, have started to love on you, and now they're warm and ready for next steps. And then you give your marching orders. Okay, next, it doesn't have to end here. Next is this program, product, or service that I have for you. And I would love to continue this journey with you going forward. And that's been a dramatic change in the way that we do sales now. And it's not really, that slimy sales copy or anything like that. It's just a true, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to help you. And on the outside of that, I have more.
I love that. So if someone's never taught a workshop before,
Yeah.
what's the simplest way to begin? Like, what does that first step look like that doesn't feel overwhelming, or like we call it bro marketing, all the stuff you're talking about, like
Oh,
that
yeah.
sort of like very
That's a good
masculine,
word.
performative way, right?
Ooh, I like that so much. One of my girlfriends says, if one more guy says, just do this, if one more
Oh.
guy tells me to just do this, like, yeah, I totally get that.
Uh-huh.
And they do. They say like, oh, just do this funnel and you'll be a bazillionaire or whatever,
Yep, yep.
So I like that, bro marketing. I'm gonna have to use that. You distracted me. I forgot the question.
Sorry. Sorry. What is the simplest way to begin if
Oh,
you
yeah.
have never done a workshop before? Like, what is that first step that will then motivate you to keep going?
Yeah. So there's three things that you need to do in your workshop. Number one is connect. And that is, I'm going to tell my story. Hi, I'm Kimberly, and I came at this from this direction, and I had this problem, and I found a solution, and I want to share it with you today. And this is a little bit about who I am, and how fast I talk, and what I look like, and how goofy I am. And, you're just getting to know me, right? You're connecting with me. So number one is connect. Number two is give novelty.
Mm.
Novelty is the second one. And novelty is probably your secret sauce. Like, what's the thing that they don't know that you learned? And it's your 3-step program, or your whatever it is, the thing that you learned that's going to help them get this transformation, right? And allow them space to be able to implement the novelty. Okay,
Mm.
so I teach one on how to create a workshop. I actually teach a workshop on how to create your own workshop. And
Nice.
and so we teach this. And then as I do that, I'm like, okay, so what's your 3-step process or your 5-step process? Let's pull that out. And this is going to be the guts. So first you're going to tell your story, then you're going to do a transformation, you're going to give them novelty. And if I came at you, and we'll use weight loss, if I came at you and said, I have a new way, or I have a way for you to lose weight in the next 14 days, and you were like, awesome, I'm in. Like, how do I do that? And then I said, you need to eat less and work out more. You'd be like, yeah, I already knew that. That's
Yeah.
done. I'm not doing that, right? But if I gave you something new, like one of my friends has a 59-cent cup of coffee that you drink every day and you lose weight. It's like, oh, that's new. That's different, right? Now I'm in. Now I'm listening. So teach your whatever your new thing is. And then the third step is challenge. So you're going to issue a challenge to them to take the next step. All right. It doesn't have to end here. I have a roadmap for you where we can go to the next thing. And here it is, right? There are levels to this game, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're here, that's awesome. But I know you can be here. And I have additional methods for you to be able to take those next steps. And I challenge you to step forward and take it. This is your call to action, of course, but it's issued as either an invitation, or I prefer the word challenge, because we need to get people off their duffs, right? There are too many people just listening to podcasts, listening to information, or buying another book or certification and then doing nothing with it, right? We need to get people into action to get them to move. And so the challenge is that aspect. So when you build out your very first workshop, that's not a webinar, it's a workshop. When you build out your very first workshop, you're going to do those things. And then finally, my last piece of advice is don't use PowerPoint at all costs, right? Have a conversation with people, talk with them, right? You can have a PowerPoint on your desktop and that can lead you to what you want to say next, but you want to talk to people and connect with them. If you
Mhm.
just do PowerPoint, like death by PowerPoint is a terrible way to go,
I agree.
right?
It's so funny how people feel, maybe it's our generation too, but like they feel more legit if they have slides.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was part of something recently, with some people from my class with the alumni office about an upcoming reunion, and somebody did a slide deck, and I was like, "Can we skip that?"
Yeah, right. Or the worst is when they hand out the slide deck, and so we're all just paging through. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the end, like it was actually really good, like you said, as a guide. But what was great was just the conversation, right? So
Yeah.
I imagine you are probably, like seeing people's confidence grow when you can give them the opportunity to, instead of sell, teach. Are
Yeah.
you seeing that?
That's my method, is teach your way to new clients and just keep teaching and just keep teaching. I never wanted to be a teacher, actually. My mom was a teacher and she was, my parents were divorced. So my dad was a sales guy. And I was like, oh, I don't ever want to be a sales guy. Like sales guys, I don't want to do that. And then my mom was a teacher. And as a single mom, we were fairly broke. we were not rolling in the dough, right? And I was like, oh, they don't make enough money. I want to do something else. And so today I'm a teacher that sells stuff.
I
That's
love that.
great.
Oh well, but yeah, it's and yeah, teaching builds your confidence because you have some sort of thing that you can teach. People probably already come to you to ask questions like, how do you build a podcast? How do you ladies do what you do? And they're here picking your brain and stuff like that. Those are all pieces of valuable content that you just think are nothing because you've already done it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
This is stuff that other people don't know. My first mentor taught me to, like, was pushing us all, or not pushing, demonstrating how we could all do a 6-week class teaching, right? A 6-week class that would then lead to a high-end program. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to teach the 6-week class, but I'm not ready to sell it yet because I don't know what I'm going to teach on the fourth day in the afternoon. And he was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, no, no, I have to know everything that I'm going to teach all 6 weeks before I can sell this program. And he goes, here's what you're going to do. You're going to sell the program and you're going to get a bunch of people in it. And then on day one, you're going to put up a whiteboard and you're going to be like, what would you like to learn in this class?
Nice.
And all the blood drained out of my face because I was like, oh, no, no, I need to know what I'm going to teach. Like, I'm supposed to be the expert. I'm supposed to know what they need to learn. And he goes, trust me. I was like, all right. So first day, I put up a whiteboard and I was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I had 12 people in the room. That was like huge for my first class ever. What would you like to learn? And they started asking things like, you have a Facebook group. How did you create that?
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. What else would you like to learn? Like stuff I never thought people didn't know. Like
Right.
I never would have taught that in a million years because I thought, oh, that's like everybody knows how to do that, right? No. How did you create your meetup group? I was like, what? So we went through, like, they were thrilled by the end. And one of the pieces of feedback was, I love that she asked what we wanted to learn and then taught to that.
That's great.
Isn't that
I
I
think
great?
that's awesome.
I love I love how playful and fun all of this is. And that is not like Lisa and I had so many students who are like they just dreaded which keeps them stuck. They dreaded this whole
Yeah.
idea that being an entrepreneur is hard. How do
Mhm.
you let people let go of that idea? And I mean, I'm gonna guess you're gonna say by modeling it.
um, I guess, yeah. I believe in the getting on the road to joy. Road is an acronym that stands for stuff that I always try to remember. And R is relish. If you
Mm.
relish something, awesome, keep doing it. Do it as long as you keep relishing it. Like first time I ever built my own website, I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm gonna drag and drop and make that all pretty and blah 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 and choose my colors. Until one day I didn't love it anymore. Like okay, this is no longer fun, right? Like I don't want to do the updates and I don't want to do the security protection and all that stuff. Like I don't want to do that part anymore. So if you don't relish it anymore, it goes into one of the other three buckets, OAD. So ROAD is the acronym, Road to Joy. Relish it, awesome, keep doing it. But if you don't, you need to outsource it, automate it, or delete it.
Hmm.
So
I'm
outsource
taking
is,
notes.
yeah, outsource is find somebody else to do it, right? And it can be somebody paid, right? Like I have an amazing team of VAs in the Philippines. I have 9 people who work for me that do all the stuff I don't want to do, and they're amazing at it, and they love it, and they're better than I could do it, right? So awesome, give it to them, outsource it, right? But if you don't have a team, there are things that you can outsource in your life right now. Like if you don't like taking out the trash or emptying the dishwasher, get your kids to do it, or your spouse or your roommate or whatever, right? Like there's other ways that you can outsource something, get somebody else to do it, right? Whether it's paid or unpaid or trade, all of those are options, right? But get it off your desk as quickly as possible. And if you can't do that, automate it. Like I have a very, very large list. I send an email every day. Do I send 65,000 emails every day? No. No, I'm busy doing stuff like drinking margaritas on the beach. Like I don't do that every day. So I automate that. And there's many processes in my life that are automated right now. And if you don't like vacuuming the house, buy a Roomba, right?
Right.
Like there's tons of stuff you can automate. And the last one is delete. And this scares everybody. They're like, oh, no, no. If I don't do it, it's going to be like the whole world's going to come to an end. And the more I realize the world does not come to an end when I stop doing something, the happier I get. Right? It's
Yeah, I
just,
love that.
it doesn't matter as much as we think it will. And if it does, we'll figure out a way to get it in one of the other buckets, right? But here's an example. My family celebrates Christmas. So whatever holiday you guys celebrate, awesome, happy for you. We just happen to celebrate Christmas. Um, every year I would send out that Christmas card with a like write up on how my kids were doing and how the family was doing and all the updates, blah, blah, blah. And, I'd write 20, 30, 40 of them. And it was fun. Like I loved giving proud updates on my kids and what they were up to. And then one year I was like, that's a lot of work. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to. I didn't buy the Christmas cards and I didn't send them out. I got a whole bunch of Christmas cards and I felt a little guilty, but I wasn't going to do it. It was just not fun anymore. And I didn't have one person reach out and ask, like, where's your Christmas card this year?
Right.
Not one.
Right.
So true.
It's like it just didn't matter.
And then if Christmas cards were fun the next year, you do them. I mean, that's the thing too,
Sure.
is when you delete, doesn't mean you're never going to come back to it. It's just what is fun. I love this fun piece so much. I think this is so, oh, gosh, women are certainly of a certain age. We have been just going along with our lives, raising our kids,
Yeah.
raising our families, and we forgot how much fun is important. I know,
Yeah.
Carrie, that was one of your sort of goals for this year is to have more fun in your life. So all of this is really amazing.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yep, sorry. Noted.
January sort of threw me off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally fair. All right. So if there is a woman listening who feels like she's been hiding or who has a story and she thinks nobody wants to hear it, or maybe she's not sure, what would you say to her, Kimberly?
Well, somebody out there needs to hear your message, and it's time you got a chance to get on the mic. And I would be happy to be the one to hand it to you. We have an amazing event coming up called the Voices of Women Summit. It's happening on March the 4th, 2026. As we're recording this, it's about a month away. I would love to have the women who are listening today come join us and share their message with the world. And it can be anything, it can be just a message of hope. It can be a message about something you're passionate about. Maybe it's recycling, or maybe it's human trafficking, or whatever your passion is that you'd like to speak about. Or it can be about your business if you're an entrepreneur and you'd like to share about something that you know, and you can teach on that summit. You'll get a 25-minute interview style speaking spot. So it's nice, warm, safe environment for you to come and share your message. It's very uplifting, and it's in honor of International Women's Day. International Women's Day this particular year in 2026 falls on a Sunday. So we're having it the Wednesday before. Normally we have it on International Women's Day, but this year last year it was on a Saturday and we had a big drop off on attendees. And so
Oh,
this year we moved it back to the 4th. But we would love for your audience to join us as a speaker or as an attendee. So you can go to voicesofwomensummit.com and find out more. It is
What's that date again? What's the date?
March the 4th, 2026, but it does happen every year. So next year it'll probably be on March the 8th, depending on when that falls. and that is International Women's Day. So we invite all women to come and speak on that event, no matter where you are. We also have a youth track for young women to be able to raise their voice. So somebody in this world is not saying, sit down and be quiet. Somebody in this world is saying, we want to hear from you. And hopefully that will change the trajectory for where they want to go in life. I'm very passionate about having young women be able to stand up and speak as well and have confidence doing it. One of the young women who spoke on Voices of Women early on, she spoke when she was 10 years old. And now she's, I think, 13 or 14. And she has spoken at UCLA in front of thousands. She has a TEDx under her belt. Her name is Uma, and she's absolutely delightful. So she spoke for the first time on the Voices of Women Summit, and I feel very, very proud of that. She's one of our superstars. So if you have a young woman in your life, ages 10 to 18, we would love to have them speak on our youth track. And we would love to have all the women speak as well. That said, there's room for guys as well. If you are a gentleman listening to this, we would love to have you come and support, being able to help us get the word out. And then also we have tech hosts who support our show by making sure that the recordings get recorded properly and they get to be behind the scenes to see what happens in an epic summit of this size. This year, we're going for a world record of the most women speaking on a virtual event in a single day, interview style. So we'd love for you to be a part of that amazing event and be one of the speakers that hopefully achieves that. Right now it's a world record attempt, but hopefully when we make that happen, and would love for you all to be a part of it, including you, Lisa, and you, Kari.
That sounds awesome. We will definitely look into it. The link is in the show notes, and we will promote the bejesus out of that because that sounds awesome. So fun. Oh, I love it.
We asked you before recording, like if you have a favorite song. Did you shared with us that you guys have a song that goes with your Speakers Playhouse? You want to share it?
Yeah, it's actually Eye of the Tiger. I don't know why we chose that.
But it's so Gen X.
Dun, dun, dun,
it is so Gen X.
Like, it's so weird that we chose that one, but it's like, it's a thing now. So we have to keep going with it. So
it is like a banger to motivate you. Like, I mean, it makes me want to go jogging or like.
Exactly. Sort of Rocky style.
Yeah. No, I think that is perfect. I'm very excited about that. I love it. Well, this has been great. We're going to put all of this in the show notes. We're going to connect to everything because people can join Speakers Playhouse too, right? Like we'll have all of this.
Yeah, Speakers Playhouse is free and virtual. It's every single Thursday of the year from 10:30 a.m. to noon Pacific, and you can get there by going to speakersplayhouse.com.
Cool. And again, I have done that. I can't even really explain. It is an experience you just have to experience. Like I went in and sort of like, oh, everybody was having so much fun. And one of the things I was really impressed with was you could tell there were people that came back week after week and still were having that much fun. So that's high praise.
Well, thank you. We call it the best 90 minutes of my week. And if you look for it in a hashtag, you'll find that the best 90 minutes of my week takes you right to Speakers Playhouse.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun and just inspiring because the work you're doing is not just helping people, find their voice, like you're actually helping them enjoy this process. And I think people lose that in their quest, and I think it's very programmed for people from our generation to think everything has to be hard. And I'm really glad that you're doing this. I can't wait to check it out more.
I love it. Thank you for saying that.
So as I said, we're going to include all of these links in the show notes. So just go take a peek. I would love for you guys to, if you feel like this episode resonated with you, you want your voice to be heard, you want to do it in a safe space, I guarantee you Kimberly will make you feel that way. So the Voices of Women Summit would be a perfect jumping off point, and you might get to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So that'd be super fun.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Kimberly. This was a hoot, and I look forward to seeing you on Speakers Playhouse.
What a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. It's been a joy.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week.
Bye.